All right, welcome back to the 24th floor. We're shifting gears to Oxford now. Ole Miss sitting at 7-1, ranked number 8 in the country and looking like a real college football playoff contender.
Yeah, right now, though, the Rebels have the hottest coaching candidate in the country and head coach Lane Kiffin. We're hearing his name with LSU, Florida. He might be able to run for governor right now. That's how popular the dude is.
Relax. We don't need more of that. We don't need more coaches trying to get into politics. So to help us separate the rumor from the fact, we bring in our expert. He is the host of the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, which you can catch right here on 24 Plus, YouTube, and anywhere you listen to podcasts. Mr. Stephen Willis, come on, Ruby. You got to get the clap ready for me because we're about to hike the ball.
No. Stephen, I can't get with it, brother. I just can't do it.
You don't want to hike the ball?
I got you, man.
Yeah, I just can't do it. Can we talk about the 7,000-pound elephant in the room, and that is everybody and their grandma wants Lane Kiffin?
Yes.
Yes. And I'm pretty sure that the list isn't done yet. Everybody wants it, but it's a consequence of being really good at what you're doing and kind of getting everybody's attention, because if they can't do it themselves, they want to take what you have. Mm-hmm. And that's just an example of how good the team has been, how well they're playing. The fact that Trinidad Chambliss is just balling out this year. Everybody assumes that, hey, if Lane Kiffin can do it at little old Ole Miss, he can do it at LSU or Florida or whatever other big job is available. And the reality of that is that's not completely true. I would say ask Dan Mullen about going from a job that is highly successful to Florida and how easy it is to do that. There's been a laundry list of coaches that haven't been able to do that. If you are in a position to where you are getting compensated well, which Lane Kiffin is already a top 10 highest paid head coach in college football. His coordinators are the top paid in the SEC, both offensive and defensive. Kind of feels like you have a pretty good gig already, despite whatever brand and how big the fan base is, wherever that might be.
So I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I don't think Lane Kiffin will leave Ole Miss except for 2 positions. Number 1, if Alabama ever becomes open, which I know we thought that may have happened when they lost to Florida State, I could see Kiffin going over there, or if he goes back to the NFL. That's the only chance I would see Lane Kiffin leave, at least for the next 3 seasons. Now, when his kids graduate, and Stephen, you can weigh in on this because I know you're really tapped in on that. When his kids graduate and are all out the hen house, then we can do all of this. But this LSU, Florida nonsense, Penn State, it's not, like, what, why? It's not a thing to me. Why would you leave Ole Miss to go there, especially now in this NIL world?
Stephen, before you answer, Can I tap in my 2 cents, and then I want you to take both these and answer to it. Coaches have a different mentality, I would say. They love a challenge, too. Sometimes that challenge of, can I be the guy that turns this program around at X, Y, or Z? Sometimes that can be enough to intrigue them. Now, I don't know that any of these are that challenge, Stephen, but I think, to your point, money's not going to be the determining factor. It's going to be whether or not he sees a challenge or something else that he wants to explore.
Yeah, one thing that is clear, one of the ways that he pitches recruits when they visit is, do you want to go somewhere and be just another great running back? Do you want to be Derrick Henry at Alabama or Reggie Bush at USC? Or do you want to come to Ole Miss and be the person that other recruits want to be? If you want to be the first version of a superstar recruit. And if Lane Kiffin believes that, he is kind of living that currently. And those decisions are going to come after the season. And it's almost a sad thing that this coaching search is popping up at the end of the year, because Ole Miss is 4 wins away from having all of their dreams come true as far as hosting a playoff game, the biggest football game in the state of Mississippi. At least they might even get a bye if they can win 4 games in a row that they're going to be favored by double digits in all of them. I always say on my podcast, next year is here. It is on to the questions of what you're willing to do as a fan, what the players are willing to do as players, what the coaches are willing to do. Every opportunity, literally Everything is at the fingertips of this Ole Miss football team. And all we're talking about is Lane Kiffin to Florida, Lane Kiffin to LSU. And there's no guarantee that it would happen one way or another because Ole Miss is a pretty good gig right now.
To your point then, should Coach come out and say, I'm not talking about anything, I don't want to look at anything until this season is over? You know, should he put his foot in the ground and say, don't even say my name?
Didn't he essentially do that with his team already, though?
But publicly, we're talking about publicly.
Yeah, I think we're in a situation to where no matter what he says is going to be taken as he's leaving.
Yeah.
And it's going to be such a big deal and blown out of proportion. It might be more of a distraction if he came out and did that. Because the reality is, let's say Ole Miss makes him the highest paid coach in college football. He's not going to sign a contract that puts him at an $80 million buyout. So you're still in exactly the same position, just that he's guaranteed a little bit more money. You're still having to deal with Lane Kiffin potentially going out, and they will mention that. It's like, well, they didn't jump the buyout to $100 million. Well, of course not. Lane Kiffin would not sign a contract where the buyout was $100 million. But that's the reason they're not doing this this during the season. And Lane Kiffin has a rule that he is not going to talk about anything relating to jobs during the season. And the fact that he even addressed it, that shows that he learned from 2022, and that's incredibly a smart thing to do. But I don't think people thinking he's going to go, I don't think people thinking he's going to stay, anybody has an answer about that right now. Mm-hmm. I think that he would be silly to go, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he will or he won't.
Yeah.
So last thing we'll ask about Lane Kiffin before we focus on the matchup. Do you think that it's safe to say that this team right here is the best team Lane Kiffin has had since he got to Ole Miss?
You know, do you remember, well, Tennessee fans that are watching this might remember, but 1998 with T. Martin, that year that they won their national championship. That came off the year before everybody just assumed that Tennessee would play for that. That was Peyton Manning's senior year. They had all of those dudes, and they just didn't quite get it done. I think Tennessee went to the Orange Bowl and got beat by Nebraska that year. The next year, T. Martin was the quarterback. The expectations went down a little bit, and lo and behold, they just found a way to win games. That was the Clint Sterner fumble game that got Tennessee into the national championship picture. There's a little bit of an echo of that happening this year. Everybody assumed that Ole Miss was going to make their run a year ago, and they had like the second best roster in all of college football, but Ole Miss found a way to lose 3 games, for better or for worse. Everybody assumed that this year Ole Miss would take a step back, and naturally they went 9-3, so this is going to be a 7-5, 8-4 team if they take a step back. And I was like, and I've said that on this show, Ole Miss had a 12-0 roster a year ago, so if they took a step back, they could still win 11 or 10 games and be in a much better position this year. And if Ole Miss can just do chalk the last 4 games, just do chalk. You beat South Carolina, you beat the Citadel, and you beat Florida at home, and you go down to Mississippi State, and it's a coronation, and you go 11-1. This Ole Miss team has a chance to far exceed anything that Lane Kiffin has ever done coaching. They might not be the more talented team over last year because that was a unbelievably talented team. This team just, I'm telling you, the addition of Trinidad Chambliss and him using the quarterback position as almost a point guard has completely unlocked this Ole Miss offense. It's made life a little bit easier for Pete Golding and the defense, and it'll be really interesting to stay. I do think that when Ole Miss gets South Carolina and they get Florida, it's going to be important to front run a little bit. Yeah. You don't want to get to the middle of the third quarter, the fourth quarter, and it be a really tight game because of the pressure involved with this. I think that the longer Ole Miss can front run, the better off they're going to be, at least until you hit that Florida game.
Well, speaking of South Carolina, I mean, they almost shocked the world last weekend. I know they scared quite a few Bama fans. How dangerous is South Carolina? Because their record can be a little deceiving based on the amount of talent they actually have.
Yeah, you have Lenore Sellers, who is the best quarterback in the SEC of taking dead plays and bringing them back to life. I mean, He's just amazing at doing that. You have Dylan Stewart, who's an amazing pass rusher. You have Nick Harbor. You just have some dudes on the South Carolina team. But for whatever reason, it hasn't clicked this year. Now, the version of that South Carolina team that you're going to get in Vaught-Hemingway Stadium, is it going to be the guys that scared the heck out of Missouri? Is it going to be them? Or is it going to be a let go of the rope version after what happened, that gut punch that they had against the Alabama Crimson Tide a week ago? I think that's interesting. I think the best, if South Carolina brings their absolute best and Ole Miss plays their absolute best, Ole Miss is going to win the game by 10 points.
So we talk about Lenore Sellers, big mobile QB for them. Do you think how do you see them containing him? I mean, I think this is the first time in a while. Well, I mean, I guess if you count Gunnar Stockton, but this is the first time that Ole Miss is really dealing with a mobile QB like that, a dynamic runner like that.
Well, John Mateer last week is a dynamic runner. I think the emergence of Prince Will Amon-Mielen is big for this Ole Miss team.
Wait a minute, say that one more time.
Prince Will Amon-Mielen.
Man, you get bonus points just for getting that right 2 times in a row, brother.
Yeah,
I can't
buddy.
stand his brother, man. His brother.
But continue. Go ahead and continue, Stephen.
Yeah, if you have those two guys, you have a dual spy type situation trying to get to the quarterback, and it is hard to get him down. Last year, Ole Miss had a real good amount of success with Lenore Sellers, but the finished product of him hadn't quite been developed yet. So it's going to be imperative for Centarian Perkins and Prince Will Amon-Mielen to kind of box Sellers in, because the one way that South Carolina can really hurt you is if Sellers gets loose, and that becomes a normal thing. They don't have weapons on the outside necessarily. They can complete a big play every now and then. Their defense isn't quite as good as a year ago, and they have no running game. This is a situation that's a good matchup for the Ole Miss team as a whole, but you can't let South Carolina hang around because of Sellers. Sellers is an elite skill set quarterback, and if you allow his legs to run, ask Clemson from a year ago, he can take you apart.
So let's look at the other side of the coin for it. South Carolina's defense, they've been decent in spots, but they're giving up like 45% on third down, and you can't have that going up against one of the top offenses in the nation. Is this where Ole Miss, you think, can really take control?
Yeah, I think it's going to be important for Ole Miss to convert on third down. They've been really good this season on third down. Trinidad, the whole 9 yards there. But I think this is a game where Kejuan Lacey kind of makes a star turn. This is a 150 yards, 2 touchdowns type game. And he is going to get fed, because we've seen from Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr., they will feed the running back if he needs to do. And they need his pass protection as well with Dylan Stewart. But I do think this is the game where you kind of take advantage of the fact that South Carolina isn't quite as good up front to kind of push them around a little bit and do what Missouri did to them earlier in the season. I think Missouri ran for 300 yards, and they gave up like negative 17 yards rushing. That game was a 100% rushing game, and I think Ole Miss is going to try and recreate that.
All right, Stephen, before we let you go, real quick, what's your prediction on the score of this game?
I'm saying Ole Miss 31, South Carolina 10.
That's not think it's going to be close. All right, brother, we appreciate you taking the time today. Again, we will try to squash as many Lane Kiffin rumors around here as possible. I did hear he's running for governor, though, just so you know.
Stephen, before you go, tell us real quick what you're working on as we get into this spooky season.
We're getting ready for the game. We had basically a one-on-one with Daquan Wright. It's on the YouTube page right now. We're working on our post-game shows. We have, after the game, we're going to do it. We have an all-SEC version of a reaction show on Sunday. On Monday, we're going to start reacting to Chris Beard's basketball team, or Tuesday, I should say, whenever they open against Southeast Louisiana. We're going to try to react to every game this season. I think Friday next week we might be out, but as a whole, we're going to try and do that as we continue to provide the most perspectives around Ole Miss sports. So thank you all very much for having me, and anybody that's watching, tune in. It should be a lot of fun.
All right, you are the man, Stephen. We appreciate you. Don't forget you can check him out on this Locked On Ole Miss podcast. You can catch it here, you catch it on YouTube, you catch Stephen all over the place because he is all over the place. Stephen, have a great rest of your day. We appreciate you.
All right, thank you guys very much.